You, you create life with touch. The cold metal floor beneath him felt strange. Dr. Jaden Gray slowly opened his eyes. His head hurt, and everything looked too bright. Strange blue lights glowed from the walls. The air smelled like metal and something sweet. He wasn't on Earth anymore. Jaden sat up quickly and looked around. He was inside a round cage made of glowing white bars. It floated a few inches off the floor. Around the cage stood tall, silent figures. Their skin was smooth and silver, with no hair, no mouths, just large black eyes that never blinked. Jaden's heart pounded. "Where am I?" he asked, even though he knew no one would answer. One of the silver guards turned and walked away. A few seconds later, the door at the far end opened. A figure stepped in, taller than the others. She wore a black cloak with silver armor shining underneath. Her eyes were dark violet. She looked at him, not like a prisoner, but like something rare, something important. "I am Commander Alyra," she said in perfect English. "You are human." Jaden stared. "You speak English." "I learned," she replied, "from your ship's recordings. Your people are unusual." Jaden stayed quiet. He didn't trust her. Alyra stepped closer. Her voice was soft, almost curious. "Your species can make life. With touch. Is that true?" Jaden blinked. "What do you mean?" She tilted her head. "We found a video on your station. A female human giving birth. We watched it many times. It confused us." "You've never seen childbirth?" he asked, still unsure if this was a joke. "No," she said. "Our kind has not created new life for many centuries. We are dying." Jaden stood up slowly. "Why are you telling me this?" Alyra looked at him closely. "Because you can do what we cannot. You carry the key inside you. Your body makes life. Your touch shares emotion. Your people are not like us." Jaden felt nervous. This was not a conversation. This was a test. "You think I can fix your race?" he asked. "We do not know," Alyra said, "but many believe you can. Others want to take your blood, your cells, your body. Study you." Jaden backed away from the bars of the cage. "So what do you want?" Alyra paused. "I want to understand you. I want to know why one touch from a human makes my skin feel warm. Why your voice makes me feel strange." She walked around the cage slowly, watching him. "We do not feel like humans do," she continued. "We lost that long ago. But when I saw the human woman hold her child in the video, I felt something. A pain. A longing." Jaden looked at her, unsure if this was real or some kind of trick. "I'm not a god," he said. "I'm just a man. A scientist." "Yet you create life," Alyra whispered. "Not with machines, not with science, but with closeness, with love." The way she said love was almost awkward, like she didn't understand the meaning, only the sound of the word. Jaden shook his head. "You don't understand. Life isn't just biology. It's family, choice, trust. That is what I want to learn," she said. "Not just how humans create life, but why." Jaden sighed. "And if I say no?" Alyra looked down. "Then others will take you. They do not care what you want." Silence filled the room. Jaden stepped closer to the cage bars. "Why me?" "Because you are kind," she said. "You did not attack when we took you. You asked questions. You looked at us with curiosity, not hate." He didn't know what to say. Then Alyra reached out slowly. Her fingers hovered just outside the energy field that held him in. "I will not harm you," she said. "But I must ask, will you show me? Not your body, not your science, just what it means to feel, to care, to be human." Jaden stared at her hand. It trembled slightly. She was afraid. Not of him, but of her own feelings. The door opened again. A guard stepped in and spoke quickly in a strange language. Elira turned to him. Her voice changed. Sharp. Commanding. Then she looked back at Jaden, her voice soft once more. "They are coming," she said. "The ones who want to take you. You must decide now. Come with me, or stay and be studied like a machine." Jaden's eyes met hers. He didn't know if he could trust her, but something inside him whispered she was telling the truth. He reached out and touched the glowing bars. "I'll come," he said. And in that moment, her eyes filled with something he had never seen in any alien face before. Hope. "Your species is a gift and a threat." Jaden had never seen a sky like this. It wasn't blue, like Earth's. It was dark silver, with streaks of purple lightning that danced silently across the clouds. The air was still and quiet, almost too quiet. No birds, no wind, no sound of life. He followed Commander Elira across a narrow bridge made of glass-like metal. Below them was nothing but a glowing sea of light. Every step made a soft hum under their feet. His hands were still shaking. He had escaped the glowing cage only an hour ago, but he didn't feel free. Not yet. 2 tall alien guards walked behind them. Their eyes never blinked. Their hands never left the weapons at their sides. "Where are we going?" Jaden asked, his voice low. Elira didn't look back. Somewhere safe. For now. Jaden's heart pounded. He wanted to run, but there was nowhere to go. This world wasn't his. He didn't even know the name of it yet. They entered a large round building with no doors, just a smooth wall that melted open as they walked toward it. Inside, the lights were soft and the air was warm. The walls shimmered like silver mist. Jaden sat on a soft seat that adjusted to his body as if it could read his mind. Elira stood across from him, her arms behind her back. "You are not a prisoner here," she said. "Not with me." Jaden looked at her. "Then why do I still feel like one?" She didn't answer. Instead, she pressed a button on a small table. A hologram appeared in the air, an image of Earth, spinning slowly. "This is your home," Elira said, "a world full of noise and feeling." The hologram shifted. It showed people laughing, crying, hugging, fighting, dancing. Simple moments, human moments. "We have watched your kind for years," she said. "We thought you were wild, weak, full of chaos. But now we know. Your chaos gives you something we lost." Jaden frowned. "What's that?" "Passion," she replied. "Emotion. The power to create, not just life, but connection." Jaden leaned forward. "Why does that scare you?" Elira turned her eyes to the hologram. "Because emotion leads to choice, and choice breaks control." She walked slowly around the room. Her voice was soft, but serious. "Our species is dying, Dr. Jaden. We live long, but we do not grow. We do not feel joy. We cannot create new life. We lost something in our evolution. We became efficient, logical, but empty." Jaden felt a chill run through him. "So what do you want from me?" Elira turned to face him. Her violet eyes locked on his. "Some believe you are the cure. Others believe you are the threat." Jaden stood up. "You can't just steal a human and expect him to fix your whole race." "We did not steal," she said. "We rescued." He gave a bitter laugh. "From what?" She stepped closer. "From your own people. Did you know your outpost was about to explode? A reactor leak. You would have died in less than an hour." Jaden froze. "That's not possible." "I can show you the recordings," she said. "We saved your life. Not for science, not for breeding, but because I chose to." Jaden looked down. His mind was spinning. "So why am I still in danger?" he asked. Elira sat down across from him. For the first time, she looked tired. "Because others on this planet do not believe in understanding. They believe in survival. And they believe using you is the only way." She opened a small box and pulled out something strange. a tiny glowing orb. "This is a sample of your DNA," she said, "taken while you slept. It's already repairing some of our broken genes." Jaden stepped back. "You took it without asking." "I had to," she said. "If I had waited, they would have taken everything." Jaden stared at her. "So what now? You protect me forever. Until your people turn against you." "I will protect you," she said, her voice steady. "But I need your help." "Help with what?" She stood again. "Help me teach them. Show them what it means to feel. To care. To choose." Jaden laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You want me to teach an entire species how to love?" Alara nodded. "Yes." He ran a hand through his hair. "I'm just one man." "You're the first man who ever made me feel something," she said. "That's a start." Suddenly, the room darkened. A siren echoed through the air. Alara turned toward the wall. "They found us." Jaden's chest tightened. "Who?" She didn't answer. Instead, she grabbed his hand. Her skin was cool. Her grip was strong. "Come with me," she said. "If they catch you, they will not ask questions." Jaden followed her down a narrow hallway. Doors closed behind them with loud hisses. "You still haven't answered one thing," he said, breathless. She looked back. "What's that?" "Why me?" Alara stopped. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Because when you looked at me, you didn't see a monster." She turned and opened a door that led into darkness. "Now run. I don't want your seed, only your heart." Jaden ran through a long curved hallway behind Alara. The lights above flickered as alarms rang in the distance. His breath came fast. His legs were sore, but he didn't stop. They passed strange machines and glowing walls. The world around him was cold and smooth, but inside, everything felt like fire. Why was he running? Why was he following this alien woman, someone he barely knew? But something in her eyes, something in her voice, made him believe her. They reached a hidden chamber. Alara waved her hand over a silver panel, and a door melted open like liquid. Inside, it was quiet. No lights. No guards. "Stay here," she whispered, "just for a moment." Jaden stepped in, breathing hard. The door closed behind him. Darkness swallowed him for a few seconds, then soft blue lights lit up the room. It was small and warm, unlike the cold labs and halls outside. There was a bed, not made of metal, but something soft and plant-like. The walls had carvings of stars and children, alien children. Jaden stared at the images. "What is this place?" Alara stood beside him. Her voice was quiet. "It's the last memory chamber. This is where we remember what we used to be." She touched one of the wall carvings gently. Jaden looked around. "Why did you bring me here?" She turned toward him, her face calm but serious. "I wanted you to see that we were not always like this. We were once full of life, full of love. But then, we changed. We became focused only on survival, on power, and we lost everything that made life beautiful." Jaden sat down on the soft surface. "And you think I can bring it back?" Alara looked down. "Not alone. But maybe with your help, we can remember what it means to care, to feel." He nodded slowly. "That's not something you can force." "I know," she said. Then she looked at him, really looked. "That's why I didn't ask for your DNA again. I didn't ask for your body. I only want one thing." Jaden waited. She took a deep breath, her voice soft like a breeze. "Your heart." Jaden blinked. "What?" "I don't want your seed. Not like the scientists, not like the commanders. I don't want to use you. I want to understand you. I want to feel what you feel. I want to know what it's like to be close to someone who chooses you, not because of duty, but because of love." Jaden sat in silence. He had expected experiments. He had expected questions, but he didn't expect this. She, a powerful alien commander, was asking for something more human than anything else. He stood and walked slowly to her. "I don't know if I can give you that," he said honestly. "I've been lied to. I've been locked up. I don't even know if I'll live through tomorrow." "I know," she whispered. "But if I die tomorrow, I want to die knowing that for one day I tried to feel like you do." Jaden was quiet. He didn't know what to say. So instead, he sat beside her. They both looked at the carved walls, at the lost children, the forgotten stars. He spoke softly. "Where are they now?" "The children." She closed her eyes. "Gone. The last generation was born over 200 years ago. Their bodies couldn't survive. Something in our code broke. We stopped being able to create new life." Jaden placed a hand on the wall. "On Earth, a child is a miracle, not just because they're born, but because they're loved, because they grow." Elira turned to him. "That's what I want to feel. Not just the science, not just the steps, but the meaning behind it." Jaden looked at her, really looked. Her skin shimmered faintly. Her eyes had depth. She was not cold, not a machine, not anymore. "You're already starting to feel," he said. Her lips curved into something close to a smile. "Is that what this is? Feeling?" He nodded. "It's the first step." They sat in silence for a long time. No alarms, no guards. Just two beings from two different worlds, learning to be still. Then came a knock, a soft voice through the wall. "Commander Elira, you are under arrest for treason." Jaden jumped up. "What?" She stood slowly. "They found us. They know I helped you. Then we have to run again." Elira didn't move. Her face was calm. "I can't run anymore, Jaden. If I run, they'll chase us forever. But if I stand, maybe I can change something." Jaden grabbed her arm. "Don't do this. Don't give up." She looked into his eyes. "I'm not giving up. I'm standing for what I believe. For you. For us. For what we felt in this room." Guards burst through the door, silver weapons raised. Elira stood tall. "I am Commander Elira. I help the human not because he is useful, but because he is kind. Because he made me feel again. And if that is a crime, then I accept the punishment." They took her away in chains. Jaden tried to fight, but was held back. He shouted her name as they pulled her out of the room. In that moment, something inside him changed. She hadn't asked for his body. She had asked for his heart. And now, he was ready to give it. But first, he had to get her back. "You touched me. Now I'll never be the same." Jaden sat alone in the memory chamber. Everything was quiet now. Too quiet. The glowing lights on the wall had dimmed. The carvings of children and stars seemed colder than before. Elira was gone. And Jaden couldn't stop thinking about the look on her face as the guards dragged her away. She didn't resist. She didn't fight back. She chose to stand. For him. Jaden clenched his fists. "I should have stopped them," he whispered. "I should have done something." He stood up and began pacing the room. Every second felt like a sharp breath that wouldn't leave his chest. He didn't know where they took her. He didn't know what they would do. But he knew one thing. He wasn't going to let them hurt her. Across the alien city, inside a tall black tower, Elira knelt in the center of a circle. A dozen figures stood around her, leaders of the old order. Their faces were hidden behind silver masks. Their voices were deep and hollow. "You have broken the code," one of them said. "You chose a human over your people," said another. Elira raised her head slowly. Her eyes were bruised, her arms locked in metal bands, but her voice stayed calm. "I chose feeling over control." Murmurs filled the room. "You have been infected," a leader said. "He touched your mind." Elira smiled slightly. "No." He opened it. "Emotion is weakness." "No," she said, louder this time. "Emotion is strength. You are afraid of it because you no longer understand it." The leaders stepped back, as if her words burned. "Remove her," one of them said. "She will be erased. Her mind wiped. Her memories taken." Elira's eyes widened, but she didn't speak. If they took her memories, Jaden would be gone forever. Back in the chamber, Jaden found a small control panel hidden under the seat. He tapped it. A screen flickered to life. A map appeared. One location blinked red, Judgment Hall. He didn't wait. He grabbed a crystal tool from the wall and slipped out through the hidden exit Elira had shown him earlier. The hallways were quiet. Most guards were focused on the trial. Good. He moved fast, heart racing, barely breathing. When he reached the Judgment Hall, he looked through the glass above. There she was, on her knees, head down, and surrounding her were masked aliens preparing to erase everything she was. Jaden's hand tightened around the crystal blade. He didn't care if he was outnumbered. He didn't care if he was just one human in a world full of enemies. They were about to erase the only being who ever believed in him. Jaden slammed through the glass panel and dropped into the circle like a storm. Alarms screamed. Guards raised weapons. Leaders shouted. But Jaden didn't stop. He held the blade to one of the energy cables and sliced through it. Sparks flew. Lights exploded. The room plunged into chaos. Elira looked up, eyes wide with disbelief. "Jaden?" He rushed to her. "I told you. I'm not letting you go." One of the guards aimed a weapon. Jaden turned, ready to block it. But Elira moved faster. She stepped between him and the weapon. The shot hit her shoulder. She fell, but didn't cry out. Her eyes stayed locked on Jaden. "You came for me," she whispered. He dropped to his knees beside her. "Of course I did." The leaders shouted orders. "Kill the human. End this madness." Elira pulled herself up with the last of her strength. Blood ran down her arm. "No," she said, standing tall. "You will not touch him." The leaders paused. Elira stepped forward, holding her wounded side. "You said we lost our ability to feel, but I found it again. Because of him. Because of a simple touch. He didn't control me. He freed me." Jaden reached for her hand. She took it. And in that moment, something changed in the room. The lights shifted. The ground trembled. The other aliens stared, not in anger, but in confusion. One of the masked leaders stepped forward. This connection, it should not be possible. Another removed their mask. A young woman, her eyes filled with tears. "I felt something," she whispered. More masks came off, one by one. Some began to cry. Some just stared at the joined hands of a human and an alien who should have never met, but did. And together, they broke the silence that ruled their world. Later, Jaden sat beside Elira in a healing chamber. Her wound was being treated. Her skin was pale, but her smile was real. "I thought I lost you," he said. "You gave me something I never thought I'd have," she whispered. "A reason to live." He gently touched her face. "You touched me," she said softly. "And now I'll never be the same." Jaden leaned closer. "Neither will I." They sat in silence, but it wasn't cold anymore. It was warm. It was hope. It was the beginning of something new. For her, for him, and maybe for an entire world. "I'll fight every star to keep him." The healing chamber was quiet. Jaden sat beside Elira as she rested. A soft blue light flowed across her shoulder where the energy blast had struck her. Alien machines hummed gently, helping her recover. Jaden hadn't left her side. He couldn't. Not after everything. She had stood between him and death. She had fought her own people, all for him. And now, she might be seen as a traitor forever. A soft voice echoed from the doorway. "Dr. Jaden Gray." He looked up. A new alien entered, taller than the rest, with golden eyes and dark armor. His presence was powerful, heavy. Everyone in the room stepped back, even the guards. "I am Warlord Karax," the alien said. I lead the High Defense Council. Jaden stood slowly. What do you want? Karux didn't look angry. He looked curious. You have changed something in Commander Elira, he said. And now, others are changing too. Jaden crossed his arms. Is that a problem? Karux stepped closer. It is not change that concerns me. It is control. Emotion leads to chaos. Chaos leads to war. Jaden shook his head. Emotion leads to life. Karux studied him, then looked at Elira. She broke every law to protect you. That cannot be ignored. You are dangerous, human. Not because of your weapons, but because of your touch. Jaden's eyes narrowed. I won't let you take her away. Karux nodded once. Then you will fight. 2 hours later, the arena was full. A circle of glowing stones stood at the center. Around it, hundreds of aliens filled the stands. Some were leaders, some were soldiers, but many were civilians, silent, watching, waiting. Jaden stood inside the ring. His heart pounded. Elira sat nearby, still weak but watching closely. She had begged him not to fight, but this was the only way to keep her safe. Karux stepped into the arena, his armor gleaming under the lights. If you win, he said, you may leave with her, and none will stop you. And if I lose? Jaden asked. She becomes property of the state. You will be erased. Jaden tightened the gloves on his hands. Let's get this over with. The fight began fast. Karux moved like lightning, his strikes powerful and sharp. Jaden blocked the first blow, rolled to the side, and kicked hard. The crowd gasped. Karux stumbled, but only for a second. He came back with a roar, slamming Jaden across the chest. Jaden hit the ground, coughing. Pain exploded in his ribs. Elira shouted from the side, "Get up." Jaden forced himself to stand. This wasn't just a fight of fists. It was a fight of meaning. A fight for freedom. A fight for love. Karux came again, swinging wide. Jaden ducked, jabbed twice, then dodged. He wasn't stronger, but he was faster, smarter, human. Every time Karux attacked, Jaden remembered Earth, the smell of rain, the touch of his mother's hand when he was sick, the sound of a child's laughter, the feeling of Elira's fingers wrapping around his. He fought with his whole soul. And finally, he landed a perfect punch, right into Karux's chest. The warlord fell to one knee. Silence. Jaden stood, shaking, barely able to breathe. Karux looked up slowly. He reached for his weapon, but then stopped. He looked at the crowd, then at Elira, then at Jaden. And he said the one thing no one expected. I yield. The crowd murmured. Whispers grew into voices, voices into cheers. Not for violence, but for courage, for change. Karux stood. This human showed strength not just of body, but of heart. Perhaps that is what we need. He turned to Elira. You chose well. Elira stepped forward, eyes full of tears. She ran to Jaden and caught him before he fell. You did it, she whispered. Jaden smiled weakly. I said I'd fight every star to keep you. Later that night, in a quiet chamber far from the arena, Elira sat with Jaden as he rested. She held his hand in silence. You were never mine to protect, she said softly. But I will choose you, every day. Jaden opened his eyes. And I'll choose you. She leaned forward, touched her forehead to his, a gesture from her world. And in that moment, two hearts from different worlds beat in harmony. But peace was not guaranteed. Outside the city, deep in the shadows, others still watched. Not everyone wanted change. Not everyone believed in love. A voice spoke in the dark. The human is too dangerous. If the girl cannot control him, we will. And somewhere, in the quiet of night, a ship powered up. The real fight was just beginning. Let me explain what love means. The soft hum of the healing chamber was the only sound in the darkened room. Jaden had barely managed to rest after the intense fight with Kyrux, his body bruised and sore, but his heart was lighter. Elira had stayed by his side, her touch gentle and comforting, offering her warmth to a body that felt like it had been through an earthquake. Yet despite the closeness between them, the weight of the world loomed large. Outside the healing chamber, things were changing. Kyrux's unexpected decision to yield had shocked the entire planet. It wasn't just the alien council that was stunned. Elira's words, the choice she had made, were starting to ripple through society. Change was in the air. But with change comes resistance, and there were still those who believed in the old ways, those who feared the power of emotion, the power of choice. They didn't want peace. They wanted control. And they would stop at nothing to keep it. Jaden turned to Elira as she sat beside him, her long silver hair falling in waves across her shoulders. Her violet eyes glowed softly in the dim light, and her hand still trembled, though she tried to hide it. "You okay?" he asked softly, his voice hoarse from the fight. Elira nodded but didn't speak. She placed her hand in his. The simple touch made Jaden's heart skip. The bond between them was undeniable, stronger than anything he had ever felt. "I'm glad you're here," she said quietly. "More than you know." Jaden squeezed her hand, not wanting to let go. "I'm not going anywhere. I promised." The door to the chamber slid open with a soft hiss, and the figure of Kyrux appeared. He looked different now, less the powerful warlord and more like a man who had been forced to confront something he didn't understand. His golden eyes met Jaden's, and there was no anger, only the weight of knowledge. "You both need to come with me," Kyrux said. "There is no time to waste." Jaden stood, still unsteady on his feet, but determined. "Where are we going?" "To the council chamber," Kyrux replied. "The decision has been made." Elira stood up, her eyes narrowing. "What decision?" "The High Council has voted," Kyrux said. "There will be no war. But there is a condition." The council chamber was a massive space, towering and cold. The alien leaders were gathered, their faces hidden behind intricate masks. The air buzzed with tension. Jaden and Elira stood together, facing the leaders, while Kyrux took his place beside them. "You may have won the fight, human," one of the masked leaders said, their voice booming through the chamber, "but you have not won their hearts." Jaden looked at Elira, his heart pounding in his chest. "What are you talking about?" "We have been watching," the leader continued. "We have seen the changes you have brought to Commander Elira. She no longer follows our rules. She no longer listens to us. And for that, she must be punished." Jaden's breath caught. "Punished." Elira stepped forward, her voice steady but firm. "You will not touch him. You will not punish me. I chose my path. And I chose him." "You have chosen emotion over logic," the leader spat. "That will not stand. We cannot allow a human to bring chaos to our world." Elira turned to Jaden, her gaze soft and filled with something he hadn't expected. "Fear. If they take me," she said quietly, "they will erase my memories. Everything I've learned, everything I felt, it will all be gone." Jaden's heart clenched. He couldn't let that happen. Not to her. Not to them. "You won't do that," he said, his voice firm. "Not if I have anything to say about it." The leaders laughed, their voices mocking. "You think you can stop us, human? You are nothing but a temporary visitor. You are a weakness, and we do not tolerate weakness." Elira's eyes burned with determination. She reached for Jaden's hand again. "Let me explain something to you, something you cannot understand." The room went silent as she stepped closer to the council. "We are not machines. We are not just soldiers or citizens or tools. We are more than that. We are beings who feel. We are beings who live." Her voice grew louder with each word, filling the chamber. "You think love is weakness. You think emotion is chaos. But it is not. It is strength. It is the heart of what makes us alive. Jaden looked at her, his chest swelling with pride. This was the woman he had come to care for. This was the woman who had believed in him when no one else did. She wasn't just fighting for herself anymore. She was fighting for something bigger, for all of them. A leader stepped forward, his mask tilting slightly, as if in curiosity. "And what is this love you speak of?" Alira smiled, her eyes soft. "Love is the power to choose. It is the reason we fight for each other. It is the reason I am standing here with him." The room grew eerily silent. Jaden took a step forward, standing beside Alira, his voice steady. "I am not here to destroy your world. I am here to help it, to show you that there is more to life than survival. There is meaning. There is hope." The leaders didn't speak for a long moment. The tension in the air was thick, like a storm waiting to break. Finally, Karuk spoke up. "We are at a crossroads," he said. "We can either choose to keep the old ways, or we can choose a new path." The other leaders shifted, and the room seemed to breathe in unison. "We will allow you to remain," Karuk said, his voice firm but not unkind. "But understand this, human. You will never be fully accepted. You will never fully belong here." Jaden looked at Alira. "That's fine. I didn't come here to belong. I came here to help." Alira squeezed his hand, her eyes full of gratitude. "And I came here to feel." The leaders nodded slowly. "Then you will stay. But know this, if you ever cross the line again, if you ever bring chaos to our world, we will not hesitate to act," one of the leaders warned. Alira turned to Jaden, her voice softer now. "But that is a risk I am willing to take. With you." Jaden nodded. "I'll be here, no matter what." As they left the council chamber, Alira walked beside him, her hand in his. There was no more fear in her eyes, only resolve. She had made her choice. And now, so had he. They would walk this road together. And wherever it led, they would face it, side by side. She chose me, over her whole planet. The stars outside the window shimmered like diamonds, cold and distant. And yet, Jaden felt like he had never been closer to anything in his life. He sat by the window, staring out at the vast, unfamiliar world that had become both home and prison. The alien city stretched below him, a maze of towering metal and glowing lights, far different from the quiet, peaceful landscapes of Earth. It felt so strange to be here, and yet there was no other place he wanted to be. Alira walked into the room quietly, her silver hair catching the faint light, her violet eyes fixed on him. She didn't speak right away. She never did after the council had given their final judgment. The weight of their decision had hung in the air ever since, like a cloud waiting to burst. Jaden looked up when she stopped beside him, her hand brushing lightly over his. Her touch was warm, despite the cold atmosphere of the room. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" Jaden asked, his voice soft. His heart was still recovering from everything he'd learned, everything he'd fought for. But it was all worth it. Every pain, every moment. Alira smiled slightly, but there was a sadness in her eyes. She leaned down, her forehead touching his. "I never thought I would have to choose," she said quietly. Jaden didn't need her to explain further. He already knew. She had chosen him. Not just as a human, not just as a being to protect. She had chosen him in a way that meant something deeper. She had chosen love. "Do you regret it?" he asked softly. She pulled back and looked into his eyes. "No," she said with quiet certainty. "I've never been more sure of anything in my life." The door to the room slid open, and Karuk entered. He looked more composed than he had in weeks, but there was something in his eyes, something that had shifted in him, something that had changed since the battle in the arena. "I've come to speak with you both," he said, his voice calm but heavy. "It is time to face what comes next." Alira straightened. She knew this moment was inevitable. "What do you mean?" "The council's decision was final," Karuk said, stepping forward. They will not interfere with your decision, but they will not accept you as part of the greater population. You will always be an outsider here. Jaden felt a knot tighten in his chest. He'd known that would be the case. He hadn't come here expecting to be accepted. He'd come for Elira. He had come to show her that love, true love, was possible, even in the darkest of places. "So, what happens now?" Jaden asked, his voice steady. "You'll be exiled from the main city," Currux continued. "A new colony will be set up. You will be allowed to live there, far from the core of our society." Jaden felt a rush of emotions hit him. The thought of leaving this place, of being sent away from everything they had fought for, was overwhelming. But in that moment, he realized that it didn't matter where they went. As long as he had Elira by his side, nothing else mattered. Elira placed her hand on Jaden's. "We will go where we're needed," she said softly. "Where we can help." Currux nodded, his gaze moving between them both. "You have already changed things here, but there are many who do not understand, who will never understand." "We will make them understand," Jaden said, a fire in his chest. "We will show them what it means to love, not to be controlled by fear, but to feel, to choose." Currux's golden eyes studied him for a moment. Then he gave a small nod. Perhaps you will." He turned, heading for the door. "Prepare yourselves. Tomorrow, you leave for the new colony." Elira and Jaden stood in silence, the weight of the decision settling over them. The room was still, but Jaden could feel the pull of the world outside, the life they were about to build together. Elira turned to him, her voice gentle but full of strength. "This isn't the end, Jaden. This is just the beginning." Jaden looked at her, and for the first time, he truly understood what she meant. It wasn't the planet they lived on. It wasn't the Council's decision. It was the love they shared, the bond they had forged. It was the choice they had made. He reached out, pulling her close. Their lips met in a soft kiss, a promise that no matter where they went, no matter the dangers that lay ahead, they would face it together. The next day, the shuttle lifted off from the city's platform. Elira and Jaden sat side by side, the stars stretching out before them. The hum of the engines was comforting. The journey was long, but for the first time, Jaden didn't feel like a stranger. He felt like he was home. Elira looked at him with a smile, her hand in his. "We're doing this," she said. He smiled back, his heart full. Together. As the shuttle soared through the stars, they didn't know what the future held. They didn't know if they would ever be fully accepted. They didn't know if they would face new challenges or if their world would ever truly change. But they knew one thing for certain. They had each other, and that was enough.